Acharya Ashtotra Shata Shri Śrīmad Abhaya Charana Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Ki Jai Hare Krishna Om Krishna Padaya Krishna Krishna of the Lord's lotus feet. By fully concentrating on distributing books for Krishna, one is fully absorbed in Krishna. This is samadhi. This is one of the classic purports of Srila Prabhupada, where he emphasizes what the Krishna consciousness movement is all about. And Srila Prabhupada writes this in the purport of the 10th canto, chapter 2, verse 37. This means that Srila Prabhupada, when he was writing this, was exhibiting the pastime of being sick. And it was after he established almost all aspects of the Krishna consciousness movement that he wrote this kind of a purport, which shows how important Srila Prabhupada felt it was. That in spite of the Krishna consciousness movement at that time having 108 temples, several farms, thousands of devotees, Srila Prabhupada, he still emphasized on manual labor or by work and book distribution. It's not that book distribution is done something, initially, or was something that was needed in the movement in the beginning days, but now, we found other means of preaching, more intelligent means. It's very common that we hear this argument that, what's the use of distributing books? You can conduct programs, people come. Now, why should we distribute books? But without giving a person a book, and if they don't read that, their understanding of Krishna consciousness will always be messed up. What does that mean? That means that the motivation to practice Krishna consciousness would not be pure. The understanding would not be pure, and the motivation would not be pure. And unless now that's what is stated as bhakti, anya abhilashita sunyam, jnana karma dhyanavritam, that unless one has no motivation except the desire to simply please Krishna and his devotees, one is not going to go back home, back to Godhead, and one is not going to achieve perfection. So, book distribution not only tells others that, but it also means that by doing book distribution, we are doing the same thing, because book distribution is an activity that we would do only to please the acharyas. Otherwise, why will we do it? We've already got the book. What do we need to do? We need to chant Hare Krishna and go back home, back to Godhead. That's it, right? Why do you need to distribute a book? Because you want to give the knowledge to others. You want to give this message to others. And the reason we're doing that is because it's the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's the order of Srila Prabhupada. And therefore that's called samadhi. And Prabhupada doesn't state that for other activities. He states this specifically for book distribution. And our understanding is also that in the Krishna consciousness movement, everything is centered around that. That principle of distributing the holy name and Srila Prabhupada's books. This is center. Okay, we have DD worship. We have farm projects. We have scientific preaching. Scientific preaching is looks so disconnected from this. But no, the idea is that ultimately this is the center of the movement, that everything is centered around this. DD worship is done so that the devotees who are going out on Sankirtan have darshan of Krishna, become inspired, and the pujari also feels that he is serving the Sankirtan movement by taking care of the deities. Why do we do scientific preaching? To tell people that this is not a sentimental movement. This singing and chanting of Hare Krishna, this is not some sentimental activity. So we try to convince the atheists. No, we also have reason. We also have logic. So that's how, by fully concentrating on distributing Prabhupada's books, one attains samadhi. It's famously Prabhupada said to Bhurijan Prabhu, preach now, samadhi later. So, but we understand from this purport is preach now, samadhi now. It's Prabhupada. Prabhupada never preached and then he retired. Prabhupada never retired from preaching. That's why you see this purport. He wrote even when he was almost, bedridden. But still he wrote this kind of a purport. And many of the 10th canto purports are quite exceptional, very inspiring. So any comments on that? And then if not, we will proceed to the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Yes, Prabhu.
I think I was really amazed when I was reading the 10th. Is that like Prabhupada on the verge of leaving his body,
Yeah.
I mean, like, you can't imagine that someone in the state Srila Prabhupada was to write something that amazing. Really mind-blowing. Every time I was reading, I was reflecting upon that.
Prabhupada was barely even able to speak.
Yeah, and
his voice was like, all the disciples, they had to keep their ears closed, and dictaphone right next to his mouth. Prabhupada was speaking very slowly.
Yeah. The Ayurvedic doctor said that, the Kaviraj said that you won't believe the amount of pain that's in your Swamiji's body. That's a miracle that he's still keeping it together.
Yeah, so there was this discussion also about how the Guru's body, is spiritual. But these are examples of how the spiritual master is transcendental to the modes of material nature. He otherwise, how is this possible? Why is he doing this? He is already attained. He's already in Vrindavan. All he has to do is, give up his body and go back home, back to Godhead, which Srila Prabhupada did. But Srila Prabhupada was always engaged in following the orders of his spiritual master. So Prabhupada sets an example that we can only pray to follow and never imitate. Okay, reading from the purport of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 19. Oh, sorry, Text 20. Evam prasanna manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sanghasya Jayate Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sanghasya Jayate Evam, thus, Prasanna, enlivened, Manasaha, of the mind, Bhagavad Bhakti, the devotional service of the Lord, Yogataha, by contact of, Bhagavad, regarding the personality of Godhead, Tattva, knowledge, Vijnanam, scientific, Mukta, liberated, Sanghasya, of the association, Jayate, becomes effective. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Translation. Thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita 7.3, it is stated that out of many thousands of ordinary men, one fortunate man endeavors for perfection in life. Mostly men are conducted by the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus they are engaged always in lust, desire, hankering, ignorance, and sleep. Out of many such man-like animals, there is actually a man who knows the responsibility of human life and thus tries to make life perfect by following the prescribed duties. And out of many thousands of such persons who have thus attained success in human life, one may scientifically know about the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. In the same Bhagavad Gita 18.55, it is stated that scientific knowledge of Sri Krishna is understood only by the process of devotional service, Bhakti Yoga. The very same thing is confirmed herein in the above words. No ordinary man, or even one who has attained success in human life, can know scientifically or perfectly the personality of Godhead. Perfection of human life is attained when one can understand that he is not a product of matter, but is in fact spirit. And as soon as one understands that he has nothing to do with matter, he at once ceases his material hankerings and becomes enlivened as a spiritual being. This attainment of success is possible when one is above the modes of passion and ignorance, or in other words, when one is actually a Brahmana by qualification. A Brahmana is the symbol of Sattva-gun, or the mode of goodness, and others who are not in the mode of goodness are either Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, or less than Shudras. The Brahminical stage is the highest stage of human life because of its good qualities. So one cannot be a devotee unless one at least qualifies as a Brahmana. The devotee is already a Brahmana by action, but that is not the end of it. As referred to above, such a Brahmana has to become a Vaishnava. In fact, to be actually in the transcendental stage. A pure Vaishnava is a liberated soul and is transcendental even to the position of a Brahmana. In the material stage, even a Brahmana is a conditioned soul, because although in the Brahminical stage, the conception of Brahman or transcendence is realized, scientific knowledge of the Supreme Lord is lacking. One has to surpass the Brahminical stage and reach the Vasudev stage to understand the personality of Godhead, Krishna. The science of the personality of Godhead is the subject matter for study by the postgraduate students in the spiritual line. Foolish men or men with a poor fund of knowledge do not understand the Supreme Lord, and they interpret Krishna according to their respective whims. The fact is, however, that one cannot understand the science of the personality of Godhead unless one is freed from the contamination of the material modes, even up to the stage of a Brahmana. When a qualified Brahmana factually becomes a Vaishnava, in the enlivened stage of liberation, he can actually know what is the personality of Godhead. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utaf Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajandam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavat tattva vijnana mukta sangasya jayate. Thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. So here Prabhupada begins the purport by referring to the Manushyanam Sahasreshu verse, that out of many thousands of ordinary men, one fortunate man endeavors for perfection. And Prabhupada explains how most men are engaged in the modes of passion and ignorance. What do? Prabhupada mentions four things. Lust, desire, hankering, five things. Lust, desire, hankering, ignorance, and sleep. So, people are conducted, where can I get sense gratification? Where can I fulfill my desires? And they're always hankering. They're always, the whole materialistic civilization is all based on the hope that one may get happiness. It's not based on factual happiness. There's euphoria that one will attain happiness. Therefore, the Bhagavatam describes sense gratification as manasija. Manasija means that which is contemplated in the mind. Now, before one gets a car, for instance, one keeps dreaming about how one may use the car, how one can use the car. Oh, if I take the car, then I'll ride it to this street, I'll drive it like this, I'll sit on this, I'll put, leather seats, and in that way, I'll be able to, enjoy. Sorry for this interruption. Rishikesh Prabhu is calling, so maybe it's a call from Guru Maharaj to Ram Rai Prabhu. So there's this manasija. When I get the car, I'll take this girl out. I'll show everyone on my street what a great guy I am. So it's contemplation on what the other person might think. And most of it is like, he'll be so envious because I feel the same way. And everyone is just going in this illusory, competition that makes no sense. Why are you trying to impress the person on the opposite side of the street? What are you going to achieve? A sense of pride. Well, what is that pride based on? It's based on your mind. It's not based on anything factual. It's just, so this is why the sense gratification is termed as manasija. So there's always hankering, and this hankering is what people call as hope. It's like Ram Rai Prabhu was explaining that the Americans, they invented a festival after New Year's just so that people have something to look forward to, because after what happens is that now there's a lot of excitement building up as we reach Christmas and then New Year's Day, and it culminates in New Year's Day, and the ball drops. And Kalki Prabhu was saying that the ball we were telling him, so the ball drops in Union Square, and he watched the ball drop, and he didn't even know where the ball drops. And I was like, what's the purpose why did you watch a ball drop? He said, everyone was watching it, so I watched it. And when I was, before he came. So we don't even know why we're doing things. Why am I watching a ball drop? I don't know. Everyone's watching it, so I'm watching it. So this is just an example of probably infinite samples of our life, what we were doing before we came to Krishna consciousness. So after New Year's, everything is depressing. There's nothing, everyone makes New Year's resolutions. In a week, they realize that I can't follow New Year's resolutions. They go and the yoga studios and gyms, they are like a 1 year package, because they know they can make a lot of money. So, 1 year package. So people go, pay for 1 year, and they go for 1 week, and that's it. And so all that 1 year's money is gone. So, they feel pretty miserable. So they start this festival. I can't believe there's a festival like this. It's a No Pants Day. You were there, right? So No Pants Day. Where do they go on No Pants Day? Everyone walks around without pants. It's like something to look forward to. So there's No Pants Day is coming up. So then there's Santa Con. What do you do in Santa Con? You wear a Santa hat. That's like, okay, then maybe there's something. What do you do in Santa Con? You wear a Santa hat, you go to all the bars and get drunk. You do that anyway. But now it's like excitement. I wear a Santa hat, so it's something different. What is different? It's because you wore a hat is something different?
Yeah.
So it's like, so you see this hankering. And then what happens? Where is that hankering based? Ignorance. Ignorance of one's real identity, ignorance of what is happiness, ignorance of what is the purpose of human life. And then when things get too much, people go to sleep. It's just, people go to sleep either by getting fully drunk or taking pills or getting drugged, or when it's too depressing, you commit suicide, which is another form of sleep. So this is basically what material, and most men and women are engaged in this. So out of many such man-like animals, there is one man who knows the responsibility of human life and tries to make it perfect by following the prescribed duties. So then a little more advanced stages when people realize, there's some more duties, I'm a human being, I'm different to an animal. So I have some duties. So especially in the Vedic culture, one has duties according to one's varna and ashram. I'm a family man, so I have duties. I'm not supposed to leave my wife and children. I'm supposed to be with them. So these are called following prescribed duties. This is a little better. So he tries to live like a human being. So this is the beginning of civilization, that when one starts to understand that there's something called as duties in life. Nowadays this word called duty, people don't even understand what it means. It's like, what duty? Because all people know is that what can I do to be happy? Like what can I get out of something? If I marry, what can I get out of it? It's not like I'm marrying out of a sense of duty. This is proper human behavior. This will bring peace and happiness to my life, to the society. I'm setting an example for my children. People in responsible societies, they feel like this. Parents, they feel the way we act is how our children are going to observe, and our children should grow up as responsible people. So these are all, modern society has regressed so much that people don't even have a conception of duty. They don't know what is duty. Therefore, Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita that asuras, pravritim cha nivirtim cha janana vidurasuraha. That the asuras, they don't know what is to be done and what is not to be done. So that's basically sums up the consciousness of most of the people in this world today. And so that's like considered a very good thing. Say, a person, if he's married, like this landlord, he came and he was saying, I asked him, so when did you get? I said, me and my wife have been married for 30 years. Isn't that amazing? And it's like, it is indeed amazing. It is indeed amazing that he's married for 30 years. It's a fantastic achievement. He stands above several people in the American society today, and kudos to him. But even that, from the point of self-realization, is like maybe just like the stage of a toddler, like infant. You've now become a human being. So, and out of thousands such persons, one may scientifically know about the personality of God if one starts to inquire. about devotional service. And Prabhupada says that the perfection of human life is attained when one understands that he's not a product of matter, but he's in fact spirit. So a person understands, okay, I'm performing all these duties, but then if he's a little intelligent, he'll say, why am I doing all this? What's going to happen after death? That's when the question is supposed to be reached. But most people today, it's in Sanskrit, it's called smashana vairagya. That renunciation displayed in the graveyard or crematorium in Vedic culture. What happens is when a person dies, when a relative dies, they take them to the graveyard, and then there's a lot of, the whole life is temporary, the world is temporary. Actually, we have to understand that nothing belongs to us. We can't even take a penny, a farthing, after we die. So people talk all these kind of things. But then after that, they forget it. And they go back to their usual way of life. But an intelligent person, it disturbs him. He starts to think, there's something more. There's something more than just this body. So then he contemplates on the spirit, and that's when one starts to come above the modes of passion and ignorance. Because when one has to gain knowledge, one has to come onto the platform of goodness. Otherwise one cannot gain knowledge. So why is it stated, like Prabhupada, he stated, cleanliness is godliness, Prabhupada said. Why? Why is cleanliness? Why are we trying to maintain our place clean? Why should, like it's stated, like Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita, he states, a devotee should brush his teeth. What has that got to do with devotion service? So many people are brushing teeth in this world. They become self-realized. So why is brushing teeth stated? It's stated because unless one is clean, one cannot attain self-realization. Because why cannot one attain self-realization? Because unless one is in the mode of goodness, above the modes of passion and ignorance, one cannot contemplate on these things. One's mind is constantly disturbed by these things. Lust, desire, hankering, ignorance, and sleep. These are all characteristics of the modes of passion and ignorance. In the mode of goodness, one does not have any of these. In the mode of goodness, there is enlightenment, there is knowledge. Like Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita, again, I don't remember the verse, and I'm bad with numbers. Krishna states that the gates. No, that's going to hell. But the gates of knowledge, I forget the exact translation, but he says that all this.
It's like
can you paraphrase it? Like someone can paraphrase it properly.
Gates of knowledge, or the gates of the body are illuminated.
Illuminated by knowledge. The gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. What are the gates of the body? The eyes,
the
nose, mouth, ears.
That's it. That's not 9.
Senses. The skin. Sorry, not senses. The skin.
And it says the manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated.
Yes. What chapter and verse is that? 14? 11. Okay. Yeah. So, what are the gates of knowledge? So, what does it mean to say that the gates of knowledge the gates of the body are illumined by knowledge? What does it mean? So my eyes are illumined by knowledge. No. What does it mean is that one sees things as they are. One sees things in reality. One sees things. What does reality means? Everything in connection to Krishna. When one sees, for instance, when a devotee, when he sees a beautiful building, he thinks, oh, this building should be used in Krishna's service. It would be so nice if this building houses a temple of Krishna. If a devotee sees a wonderful a wonderful bed, then he thinks, oh, this bed can be used for the service of my spiritual master. It's very nice. It's very comfortable. This is perfect. If a devotee sees a very ripened, a fruit, say a nice mango, he thinks, oh, this mango, this would be very nice if I offer it to the Vaishnavas. And in this way, the devotee, instead of looking at that mango and thinking, this is something that now I can enjoy, this is meant for my enjoyment, he sees that in connection with Krishna, because that is what it is. The mango is an energy of Krishna, and therefore it must be engaged in the service of Krishna. Similarly, hearing. The devotee hears topics in relation to Krishna, and he hears the holy name. He chants the holy name, he hears it, and he helps others hear it also, and he spreads the message of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. He hears the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So in this way, the devotee, all his senses are engaged. That's what it means, that illumined by knowledge. Of course, the devotee is acting on the transcendental platform, but even a Brahmana, in the mode of goodness, the gates, they're illumined by knowledge, because he understands, I'm not supposed to act whimsically. There are ways and means I'm supposed to act. So, if the gates of knowledge are covered by the modes of passion and ignorance, which means that if we are engaging our eyes in reading nonsense literature or watching nonsense things, if we feed our mouth with things that are not offered to Krishna, that things that are not supposed to be eaten, then what happens is the gates of knowledge, the gates of the body cannot be illumined by knowledge. So this is why Prabhupada is stating over here that it's interesting. Prabhupada is kind of stating it in both ways. Prabhupada is stating that one cannot become a devotee unless one at least qualifies as a Brahmana. The devotee is already a Brahmana by action. So we have to develop Brahminical qualities to actually be a devotee. But then, once we are a devotee, then these Brahminical characteristics become a secondary nature. It's not our primary nature, it's not the primary identification. The Brahmanas, they identify themselves with this. The Brahmanas are very proud of being, very knowledgeable, of being, very clean. Like, once a Smarta Brahmana said, we don't eat like animals. These people, they eat with their right hand, they eat with their left hand. He said, we're not monkeys. They don't pick up things with both the hands and eat them. He said, only monkeys do like that. Humans, they eat with one hand. Only monkeys eat with two hands. Monkeys and squirrels, they eat with, grab one in this hand, grab one in the other, and keep stuffing into your mouth. That's what a monkey does. So Brahmana is like, I'm a human being. He only civilized. And he eats it. So it's very nice. Okay. It's good. But it's useless if one does not engage that, and after developing such Brahminical qualifications, if one does not transcend pride and become a devotee of Krishna. What does it mean to transcend pride and become devotee of Krishna? It means to surrender to the spiritual master. It means tadviti pranipatena pariprashnena seveya. It means that when one falls at the feet of the spiritual master and submissively inquires from him onto the nature of onto the nature of the absolute truth. Until then, one can be a Brahmana, but still one is stuck within the cycle of birth and death. Why? Because one is still stuck in the mode of goodness. One who is intelligent can see that the mode of goodness actually gives you a higher level of sense gratification than the modes of passion and ignorance. The people in passion and ignorance, they're too covered by their material desires to understand how the mode of goodness actually gives a higher level of sense gratification. They think, this is just, it's all austerity, renunciation. They can't see. But in the mode of goodness, there is a problem that one can become proud of one's knowledge. One can become proud of one's birth. One can become proud of one's, elevated nature as, in comparison with other members of society. So this tends to happen. Sometimes, even devotees, they come into this movement. They first gain knowledge by reading Prabhupada's books, by hearing from Prabhupada. And then, instead of further hearing from Prabhupada completely by reading Prabhupada's books, they start jumping around like a monkey, going to other places without even considering what that knowledge is. Therefore, Prabhupada is saying, foolish men or men with a poor fund of knowledge do not understand the Supreme Lord, and they interpret Krishna according to their respective whims. Because a Brahmana, he understands that by his own endeavor, he cannot grasp the Supreme Absolute Truth. I was just hearing today my Guru Maharaj in a lecture, he was quoting Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada said, just read my books thoroughly and everything will be revealed to you. In fact, that's what the next verse also states. Bhidyate hridaya granthis chidyante sarva samshayaha. That thus the knot of the heart is pierced and all misgivings are cut into pieces. Because this verse states, now the verse states that established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, one whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord, gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation. In the stage of liberation, it's not attained in the modes of passion and ignorance. It's not attained by endeavor. It's attained by mercy. It's attained by oral reception. And what does that also mean? That means that one has to transcend the Brahminical platform where one is engaged in gaining knowledge to the platform where one receives knowledge and submits oneself to the spiritual master, understanding that unless I follow his instructions, I'm not going to be happy in life. I can continue. I'll keep hankering. I'll go hankering. You keep hanker. We've been hankering for millions, for unlimited lifetimes in the cycle of birth and death, thinking that I know how to gain it. I will go here, I will go there, I will find the source, but it's just I. It's still I. So when the Brahmana becomes relieved of this conception of I, aham mameti, then he becomes a devotee, he becomes a Vaishnava. The difference between Brahmana and a Vaishnava, what is it? Vaishnava is trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna. That a Vaishnava is humbler than a blade of grass and more tolerant than a tree, and is always ready to offer respect to others. The Brahmana is not ready to offer respect to others. The Brahmana is like, why should I offer? Everyone should offer respect to me, because I'm a Brahmana. I'm the top of the ladder over here. But the Vaishnava, he understands that I'm not the top of the ladder. I'm simply the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. I'm simply the menial servant of my spiritual master. Therefore, it is the Vaishnava who engaged in kriyasu, manual labor. The Brahmanas, what is manual labor? Labor, the word labor, this is the characteristic of a Shudra. The Brahmana, what does he do? The characteristics that are stated in the Bhagavad Gita. What is that? Samadama tapas saucham santyam shantim arjavam. So if you read, I'm paraphrase. So Samadama, so he engages in austerities, he engages in reading the scriptures, he engages, but he doesn't do manual labor. Why does the Vaishnava do manual labor? Why does the Vaishnava go around distributing literature like this? Going on the street, we go on the street, we sing the holy name, some guy comes and yells at us, spits on our face. A Brahmana would never ever put himself in that kind of a situation. Therefore, sometimes when we see a devotee, he's like, Prabhuji, can you come to Harinama? Prabhu says, I feel very weird. You're not, the idea is when you do that activity, you're transcending the Brahminical. Yes, you might be very interested. It might be very nice in the temple. Someone gives a seminar, Krishna's beautiful qualities, and you hear it, you feel all good, you go back home, it's very nice. The Brahmanas also speak on Shastra. They don't speak nonsense. They don't talk about, they don't talk about the football match or something like that. The Brahmanas are talking on scripture. Brahmanas are talking on Shastra. The difference between the Brahmana and the Vaishnava doesn't simply discuss literature and Shastra for the heck of discussing it. The Brahmana is like in South India, there is something known as the, I don't have the time now. 8:20, okay. So the in India, in South India, in Chennai, there's something known as Kamban Vira. Kamban Vira means, now Ramayana has been written by Valmiki. It's also been written by Kamban. Kamban is another bona fide version of the Ramayana. It's written by a South Indian poet. So it's more poetic, and it's very, very, very beautiful. It's been rendered in Tamil and been translated also. So what these so-called intellectual brahmanas would do, they would have a festival where they would discuss this version of the Ramayana. What would they discuss? They would discuss, is Rama, who followed the advice of his father to go to the, is Bharata, who followed the advice of Ram to go back to Ayodhya and live there, better than Lakshmana, who rejected Ram's advice to stay in Ayodhya? This is the debate. The debate would go on about who is better. What would the debate be? They would pull out the Dharma Shastra, they would pull out Samhita, they would, then they would debate. No, Lakshmana did like this. No, Bharata did like this. Shatrugna did like this. Ram did like this. What is the use? You're debating on the characteristics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All four of them are expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what happens after that? They go back to their karmi job of working in an IT company and serving a meat eater, woman hunter, beef eater. What is the use of your discussing whether Lakshmana and Bharata were better, or who is better, who is inferior? What a rascal! That sort of discussion, they're reciting the holy names of Ram, they're discussing about the Ramayana, there's no purification. Because foolish men with a poor fund of knowledge do not understand the Supreme Lord, and they interpret Krishna according to their respective whims. So the fact is, one cannot understand the personality of Godhead unless one is freed from the contaminations of the material modes, even up to the stage of a Brahmana. When a qualified Brahmana factually becomes a Vaishnava, in the enlivened stage of liberation, he can know what is actually the personality of Godhead. In the enlivened stage of liberation. So that's why it's stated, evam prasanna manaso, that one becomes enlivened. How can one become enlivened unless one practices devotional service? What does practicing devotional service mean? Practicing devotional service means yasya deve para bhakti yata deve tata guru tasyete katita hi artha prakashante mahatmana. That one has to have implicit faith in one's spiritual master and Krishna. One has to have that strong faith. Yata deve tata guru tasyete katita hi artha, and by that process prakashante mahatmana, that the knowledge that has been revealed to great souls, that will also be revealed to us. And one can also become a Mahatma in that manner. One also becomes a great soul. So this process of endeavoring, this means that because actually one cannot be Brahmana is not in the pure mode of goodness, because he is not liberated. He is not, and only a Vaishnava is on the pure, that's why it's stated here, it is said unalloyed goodness. Because a Brahmana is still alloyed. What is it alloyed with? It's alloyed with the mode of passion and ignorance. And in the mode of passion and ignorance, there is the endeavor. I am seeking knowledge. I shall approach here, I shall go there. But the Vaishnava, he hears from his spiritual master. It's not that one does not read, but one follows the instructions. That one follows the instructions, and then and what is the loss if one follows the instructions? So many lifetimes we've gone around like this, running around searching happiness, miserable. So why can't we humble ourselves a little to just give it a shot? Read all of Srila Prabhupada's books. Perform Harinam Sankirtan and book distribution. Give it a shot. What is the loss? You have millions of lifetimes. You can go back to getting stuck in the cycle of birth and death. But if you lose this chance, you might be losing something big. So many ways in which one, that's why it's also called scientific knowledge. So many ways in which one can convince oneself to practice Krishna consciousness. But mostly men are conducted by the modes of passion and ignorance. So unfortunately, it's hard. I'll end the class here. Any questions, comments? Yes, Prabhu.
Yes. So if you can repeat the question also, so that we can put it up. It might actually be in Facebook Live.
They can hear it. You just need to talk loud enough.
If why is it, despite hearing so many times that the instruction of the spiritual master is the most important object of devotional service in one's spiritual life, that despite hearing that so many times, people are still not understanding the message of the spiritual master, and they still act according to their own whims?
Because they are conducted by the modes of passion and ignorance. They're always engaged in lust, desire, hankering, ignorance, and sleep. That one might hear, but if one is attached to performing these activities, then one cannot be benefited. If one is attached to drinking poison, one cannot get cured in spite of receiving so much medicine. It's like, therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he warns us about this, especially about hearing from Mayavadis. One should not be attached to hearing from them. Mayavada bhashya sunile hoy sarvanash. That yes, you have, the doctor is giving you a medicine and he's telling you to stop doing something. If you don't stop it, how can you get cured? Then you say, I feel so much from the deepest part of my heart that I want to get cured. But you won't give up your nonsense. And your feeling from your heart is your heart is just nonsense. And you're nonsense. So that's the thing, that one has to, you hear the spiritual master, you hear, but do you apply? You don't apply. Therefore it's called Bhagavat Tattva Vijnana. Vijnana means scientific knowledge. What is scientific knowledge? Scientific knowledge means knowledge that is applied in practice. Not that it's not armchair philosophy. I smoke a pipe and then I speak big things, like all these philosophers.
Some may say that it must just be my karma that I can't be determined or serious with the devotional service,
So then, if you're sincere, you should ask the spiritual master, I'm not determined, I'm not sincere, what should I do? Then they give you a solution. Krishna gives different stages. How can one help? But at least one must theoretically accept one's fallen position. Yes, it is a fact. There are people. Everyone, for instance, when we want to spread Krishna consciousness, everyone will not come to the platform of initiation. But then if they are at least humble enough to admit that they are attached to what they're doing, then the Vaishnavas can tell them, at least you help like this. Okay, you are attached to working. So at least you give some Lakshmi donation. Or, you do something like that. Or you come to the temple. There are some people, they will never chant, they won't chant 16 rounds, but they like coming to the temple and cleaning. Then do that. No. But if he's puffed up, then there's really no scope. So there's always hope in Krishna consciousness. In fact, such people, even when they're unqualified, if they're just humble, by their humble attitude, they gain a lot of mercy, and suddenly at some stage of life, they tend to transform completely. Because the mercy of the spiritual master just flows. Spiritual master is so pleased. Yes, in spite of being attached, you're humble enough to admit to your attachment, and you seek the medicine. So,
yes, thank you for the nice class. I had a question. I think at the start of the class you mentioned, the desires of the mind and contemplation. So ultimately, this can kind of come into reality as well if that desire is really strong. But for devotees, does Krishna protect from these desires? Like, if it's like, because your mind goes so many places. Does Krishna protect the devotees from, such desires?
No, certainly. Krishna protects them. It's one of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam says Rakshishiti iti Vishwaso. In the aspects of surrender, I forgot the verse. It ends with Goptiltve Varanam Tata. Atmanik Shadvida Sharanagati. There's 6 aspects of Sharanagati. And I don't have my phone on my laptop with me.
It's in the Gita, in the purport to 1866.
Okay.
We should also have the Gita there because
Right.
you refer to it so often.
Yeah. So, one of it is stated as Rakshishiti iti Vishwaso, that one has faith that Krishna will protect. One is doing so much, like Prabhupada said, Prabhupada was asked, Prabhupada, we're doing, we're practicing Krishna consciousness, we're following everything. Will we go back home back to Godhead? Will we actually make it? And Prabhupada said, we're helping so many others to go back home back to Godhead. We're trying to help so many others to go back home back to Godhead. Will Krishna not take us? Will Krishna not take us? We're helping so many others. Will Krishna not take us? He will take. So yeah, Krishna definitely protects. And we see that in our lives also, so many ways, Krishna protects. In each one of our services, we have that experience. Well, either it be book distribution or cooking or cleaning the temple, or any small service, even small in management. Sometimes funds, we're like short of funds, we don't know what we're going to do, and then suddenly somewhere something drops, some money drops from somewhere, someone drops a donation. I remember this very vividly in a temple when we were in Chennai. We had a very small preaching center, and myself and the devotee was like, that's it, we pulled out the last 50 rupees that we had for purchasing vegetables that day, and that's it. And the other devotee told me, Prabhu, we're out, we're dry, there's nothing, we don't know what we're going to do tomorrow. And we're like, oh wow, okay. So anyway, just when he said that, a devotee came and he said, Prabhu, I don't know, I somehow felt I wanted to give a donation, so here's 500 rupees. I was like, oh, where did that come from? It was like, wow, it just came, suddenly it just came. Then we were like, Krishna protects, really, Krishna protects us, So, insofar as even those material desires, definitely. For small things like this, Krishna provides you. That's really important. But yeah, we have to stick to the process. We might fail, we might fall down a couple of times, but we have to get up and proceed, move on. Krishna protects. And we can feel that also as we practice Krishna consciousness. We see slowly we're making advancement, slowly but steady.
Yeah, I was thinking about what you said at the start of class, how we all have prescribed duties, and thousands of us we're not doing our prescribed duties. We don't know what it is, right, or what the perfection of life is. And I was reminded of like a scientific experiment I once watched, and they had like participants who would stand in a line, right, and they had like segregated tape between them, and they said like, please wait in queue. It was like 3 participants, and then like an hour later there was like 60 people in that line. And they didn't know what they're waiting for. They just lined up.
Oh, it's so stupid, yeah. It's so stupid. Same thing, sometimes in India you see this a lot. Something is free. It's just some board is free. People don't know. It's free. Just run towards it. I don't need anything right now. I'm fine. They're fine. If that free board wasn't there, they didn't get that free item, they would have lived their lives anyway. This is free. Everyone rushes towards it. Hank, they don't know why they're going to that. Why are you going? Why do you need that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I need it.
It's free.
It's free.
Yeah.
So, yes, it's crazy sometimes to reflect about it, how in the advertisement industry, they capitalize on this. The advertisement industry is very interesting. These demons, they understand perfectly how these modes of passion and ignorance work. And the whole modern civilization is designed like that. It's just designed one after the other. Especially America is like, it's like the perfection of it. In many ways, the way the capitalist society works, it's just based on exploitation. It's really bad. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Grantraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
His Grace Visnu-citta Prabhu ki jai.
Vancha kalpatarubyascha kripa Patitanam